Once upon a time, there was a righteous and warm-hearted king who ruled the land gracious. It was so peaceful there that everyone honored him as the Great King. He had a little son. Being the child of the king, he was loved by everyone. Therefore, all called him Prince Darling. One day, when the king was going hunting in the forest, he saw a ferocious wolf chasing a small rabbit. He immediately stopped them to make the wolf run away and saved the poor rabbit. A miracle happened. The rabbit turned into a very beautiful fairy to the king's surprise. I am a benevolent fairy. I just wanted to see if you were as kind as rumored, and you made me very pleased. I'll grant you a wish, so think it through.
I want my son, Prince Darling, to be a gentleman before he becomes a king. Please befriend my son until he is mature enough.
A great idea. If a king doesn't have a big heart, he wouldn't be a good king. I promise to guide Darling and punish him severely if he makes a mistake. However, he will be the one who decides whether to obey or not. I give Darling this ring. Put it on his finger. It is my embodiment, which will always be by his side.
Thank you, benevolent fairy.
As the fairy had told, the king put the ring on Darling's finger. The little prince loved it so much that he always brought it along with him. Not long after that, the king came down with a serious illness and passed away. Before he died, he reminded his courtiers to help Darling until he was old enough to be a good king. The little prince had been raised by the virtuous teacher Sullivan. He took care of Darling, shared everything with him, and considered him as his son. Many years later, Darling became a beautiful young prince. The evil courtier Lucas and his servants always pampered and flattered him. They did everything when he ordered. So Darling became more and more arrogant, looking down on everything.
Your Highness, how rude a servant is to disobey your order.
Just like that, everyone gradually considered him as a bad guy. At those moments, Darling felt his ring finger so hurt.
Ouch! Every time I get angry, that kind of pain comes. How annoying. Lucas, go!
Even Teacher Sullivan couldn't give him advice anymore.
Sullivan, stop now! I'm tired of your teachings. Ouch, it hurts. It's that pain again. Is everything going against me?
Your Highness, I am very upset when you are going against the wishes of the late king. I hope you could be happier and wiser.
That day, Darling and Lucas went hunting in the forest. They met a beautiful shepherd girl whose beauty immediately made Darling fall in love. The shepherd girl also realized the presence of that handsome and notable man.
Hello, I'm Prince Darling. You are the most beautiful girl in the kingdom I have ever seen. I want to offer you the great honor of marrying me. Well, you're happy about that, aren't you?
Prince Darling, he's so arrogant and unlikable. And I'm Celia. Even though I'm just a poor shepherd girl, I have self-respect. I will not marry an arrogant man like you, Prince.
Prince, why do you have to be so sad? You can make her obey you because you're about to become a king. How dare she despise and mock your love? She must be punished.
You refuse to be my wife? Then be my prisoner. Guards, take her to the palace.
At that moment, the ring pierced Darling's hand again.
Ah, it hurts. It again. What the hell is that?
He tried to pull the ring off his finger in vain, but he couldn't. When Darling returned to the palace from the hunting, he wanted to see Celia, but he was surprised that she had been escaped by Sullivan.
Darling, it's me who freed that poor girl from your unreasonable orders. It's time for you to change, my prince.
How insolent, Your Highness. He dared to be against you. He must be punished for what he has done.
Guards, quickly put Sullivan in jail for me and get Celia back here. That's the prince's orders.
The guards took Sullivan away. Lucas was very excited. He wanted to get rid of Sullivan for a long time because of his illustrious reputation.
Great. Now no one can stop me.
Darling angrily returned to his chamber and saw a miracle. A fairy appeared from the ring on his hand. Then she scolded him sternly. I am the benevolent fairy who promised your father to guide you. But you are not only arrogant and selfish, but also cannot control your anger, thus becoming crueler and crueler. Because you are hot-tempered like a lion, greedy like a wolf, ungrateful to Mr. Sullivan like a snake, stupid like an ox when deceived by your courtiers, you will have a suitable punishment. Then she transformed Darling into a strangely shaped monster with the head of a lion, the horns of an ox, the hind legs of a wolf, and the tail of a snake. Darling was startled seeing himself in the forest beside the lake, where he could see his terrible form.
Oh my god! Is this what I look like now? How can I go back to my old self?
When you change and redeem yourself to show repentance, you can go back to the way you were. Being threatened, he tried to run away from the forest, but unfortunately, he fell into the trap of the hunters. They were surprised at the monster, but then delighted to have obtained a strange creature. They brought the strange creature into the city, which made everyone talk about it. Feeling humiliated, but instead of realizing his mistake, Darling angrily accused the benevolent fairy.
Just because of the benevolent fairy, I have gone to this trouble. Yes, she did all of these.
Talking about the courtier Lucas, after searching everywhere, he was happy to find that the prince was gone. Lucas quickly came up with an idea to usurp his throne.
Quickly announce to the public that the evil Prince Darling is dead.
But his plan quickly became unsuccessful. Sullivan won the trust of the guards and he was set free. Immediately, he led troops into the palace to deposition Lucas and put him in jail.
Huh?
Sullivan immediately organized a ceremony to announce the truth to all the people in the kingdom. At that moment, the stock car carrying the monster Darling passed by. The evil Prince Darling is dead!
The evil courtier Lucas has been put in jail! Great!
Sire Sullivan, may you become the king to correct the mistakes made by Prince Darling.
Darling saw that his citizens were really happy when they knew he was lost, and even supported Sullivan to be the new king. He was upset, roared, but nothing worked.
I only keep the throne for the prince. I believe he is not dead. Darling is not bad. It's just Lucas and his servants who spoiled him to usurp the throne. If Darling can return to his true self, a benevolent king like his great father, I will cede the throne.
I want to do good deeds, to atone for mistakes. I want to be human again, to repay Sullivan's favor.
Darling was taken to a circus, along with many other ferocious animals. When the trainer was not paying attention, a leopard jumped out to attack.
Oh my god, please don't eat me. Is anyone there? Please save me.
Poor him. I wish I could be freed from this cage to save this trainer's life.
As soon as he finished speaking, the iron cage door to which he was imprisoned miraculously opened. He let out a fierce roar, causing the leopard to be panic and run back to the cage. A good deed will definitely be rewarded. Darling was transformed into a dove. Then he was free.
If I want to be a human again, maybe I need to find Celia to atone for what I did to her.
But Darling didn't know where Celia was, so he had to fly around to find her. A few days later, Darling finally found Celia just when she was being led by a soldier on the street.
Here she is, you evil soldiers. How dare you be so rough to her? I'm angry with him, but isn't that what I ordered? She is right that I am so selfish and cruel.
Even though he was just a small dove, Darling was determined to attack the soldier fiercely. Celia took that opportunity to push down the soldier to free herself, and then ran away with the dove. Thank you, little dove. You just saved me.
If that was what I do to atone to you, will you forgive me?
You can even say? Who are you? Regardless of the fault, it's good of you to have the courage to face and fix it. I accept your apologies. Celia, you'll know who this dove is right now. The fairy cast a spell, turning Darling back into his original form.
Celia, I've always loved you from the first time we met. But because of my selfishness, I did wrong things to you. If you do not agree to forgive me, I will beg the fairy to turn me back into that dove as a punishment.
Indeed, your wrongdoings made me feel disrespected. It's great that now you can realize and fix them. I agree to give you another chance. The benevolent fairy was so content. She casted a spell.
Master Sullivan, nice to meet you again.
Oh, Prince. Yes, our Prince Darling. He is back.
Sullivan returned the throne to Prince Darling. He had always been his teacher as well as his most loyal friend. Darling was completely changed. He gradually became a benevolent king like his father. Darling then married Celia in the blessing of everyone. Eventually, they lived happily ever after.